Two lawyers had been lifelong friends. They were partners and shared everything, including their hot secretary. One day, the secretary announced she was pregnant. They told her not to worry and assured her that they would pay all medical costs and would act as co-fathers when the child was born and provide all expenses thereafter. The day of delivery arrived. Both lawyers were at the hospital pacing the floor in the waiting room. Finally, one of them said, "I can't take this. I'm going down to sit in my car and wait there. Please come down and tell me as soon as the child is born." The partner agreed to do that. About an hour later, the partner approached the car with a very grave look on his face. "What happened?" asked the waiting car occupant. The other partner announced, "They were twins and both look like you." Mildred was a 93-year-old woman, particularly despondent over the death of her husband Earl. She decided she would just end her life herself and join him in death. Thinking that it would be best to get it over with quickly, she took out Earl's old army pistol and decided to shoot herself in the heart, since it was so badly broken in the first place. Not wanting to miss the vital organ and become a vegetable and burden to someone, she called her doctor's office to inquire as to just exactly where the heart would be on a woman. The doctor said, "Your heart would be just by your left breast." Later that night, Mildred was admitted to the hospital with a gunshot wound to her knee. One night, a little girl walks in on her parents having sex. The mother is going up and down on the father, and when she sees her daughter looking at them, she immediately stops. "What are you doing, Mommy?" she asks. The mother is too embarrassed to tell her little girl about sex, so she makes up an answer. "Well, sweetie, sometimes Daddy's tummy gets too big, so I have to jump up and down on it to flatten it out." The little girl replies, "Well, Mommy, you really shouldn't bother with that." The mother has a confused look on her face. "Why do you say that, sweetheart?" The little girl replies, "Because, Mommy, every time you leave in the morning, the lady next door comes over and blows it back up." A guy was standing in a bar when a stranger walked in. After a while, they get to talking, and at about 10:30 p.m., the second guy says, "Oh well, I'd better get home. My wife doesn't like me to stay out late at night." The first guy replies, "I'll help you out of this. Just do what I say. Go home, sneak into the bedroom and pull back the covers. Get down between her legs, then lick, lick, and lick for about 20 minutes and there will be no complaints in the morning." The guy agrees to try that and continues drinking with him for 2 more hours before heading home to give it a try. When he got home, the house was pitch black. He sneaked upstairs into the bedroom, pulled back the covers, and proceeded to lick for 20 minutes. The bed was like a swamp, so he decided to wash his face. As he walked into the bathroom, his wife was sitting on the toilet. Seeing her, he screamed, "What the hell are you doing in here?" "Shh! Keep it down!" she exclaimed. "You'll wake my mother!" Adam was talking to his friend at the bar and said, "I don't know what to get my wife for her birthday. She has everything, and besides, she can afford to buy anything she wants, so I'm stuck." His friend said, "I have an idea. Why don't you make up a certificate saying she can have 60 minutes of great sex any way she wants it? She'll probably be thrilled." Adam decided to take his friend's advice. The next day at the bar, his friend asked, "Well, did you take my suggestion?" "Yes, I did," said Adam. "Well, did she like it?" "Oh yes," said Adam. "She jumped up, thanked me, kissed me on the forehead, and ran out the door yelling, 'I'll be back in an hour.'" A woman has an appointment with her gynecologist, but oversleeps and wakes up 30 minutes before her morning appointment. She has to drop her daughter at school first, so she runs to the bathroom and quickly wipes her neither region with a flannel lying on the side of the bath and runs out the door. After dropping off her daughter on the drive to the gynecologist, she thinks about the fact that she didn't clean herself very well. When she gets there, she lies on the bed and spreads her legs for the inspection. The gynecologist, whilst examining her, looks up and says in a dry voice, "I see you made an effort." Driving back home, she thought about what he said. Was he being sarcastic? Did it really look that bad? Later that evening, her daughter asked her, "Mummy, where is that flannel that was on the side of the bath?" "Why?" she asked. The daughter replied, "I used it earlier to wipe up some glitter I spilt on the floor." There once was an old Jewish man who lived in New York. His business was distributing soft goods. Unfortunately, his next-door neighbor was a rednecked, irascible anti-Semite. The redneck called his Jew neighbor and said, "Hey, Jew boy, I need a piece of orange yarn to reach from the tip of your nose to the tip of your penis, and I want it delivered right away." The Jew replied, "Of course, right away." The next day, hearing a noise outside his window, the redneck looked out on his yard to see a large truck dumping a huge load of orange yarn on the grass. There was another truck waiting his turn. Down the street, he could see another truck turning the corner and coming along. He called the Jew and asked, "What the hell is going on?" "Well, as you know, we record all telephone orders to be sure that we don't make a mistake," the Jew replied. "I may be a few yards over or under, but I gave you a 2% quantity discount to make up for it. The last time I saw it, the tip of my penis was in Poland." A beautiful woman loved growing tomatoes but couldn't seem to get her tomatoes to turn red. One day, while taking a stroll, she came upon a gentleman neighbor who had the most beautiful garden full of huge red tomatoes. The woman asked the gentleman, "What do you do to get your tomatoes so red?" The gentleman responded, "Well, twice a day I stand in front of my tomato garden and expose myself, and my tomatoes turn red from blushing so much." Well, the woman was so impressed, she decided to try doing the same thing to her tomato garden to see if it would work. So twice a day for 2 weeks, she exposed herself to her garden, hoping for the best. One day, the gentleman was passing by and asked the woman, "By the way, how did you make out? Did your tomatoes turn red?" "No," she replied, "but you should see my cucumbers." When I was 13, I hoped that one day I would have a girlfriend with big boobs. When I was 16, I got a girlfriend with big boobs, but there was no passion, so I decided I needed a passionate girl with zest for life. In college, I dated a passionate girl, but she was too emotional. Everything was an emergency. She was a drama queen, cried all the time, and threatened suicide. So I decided I needed a girl with stability. When I was 25, I found a very stable girl, but she was boring. She was totally predictable and never got excited about anything. Life became so dull that I decided that I needed a girl with some excitement. When I was 28, I found an exciting girl, but I couldn't keep up with her. She rushed from one thing to another, never settling on anything. She did mad, impetuous things and made me miserable as often as happy. She was great fun initially and very energetic, but directionless. So I decided to find a girl with some real ambition. When I turned 30, I found a smart, ambitious girl with her feet planted firmly on the ground, so I married her. She was so ambitious that she divorced me and took everything I owned. I am older and wiser now, and I am looking for a girl with big boobs. An elderly woman wants half a head of lettuce at a grocery store, so she tells the young man at the checkout, "I would like to buy half a head of lettuce." The young man says, "I'm sorry, we only sell whole heads of lettuce." The old woman says, "Well, you see, I'm old, and I don't eat very much, and so when I buy a whole head of lettuce, the other half usually goes to waste. Would you ask your supervisor if there is something he could do?" The young man rolls his eyes, lets out a sigh, and walks into his supervisor's office. "Hey, some dumb old hag wants to buy half a head of lettuce." His supervisor looks up from his desk and is shocked to see the elderly woman has followed the young man. She's right behind him at the door and heard what he said. The young man turns around, sees her, and realizing his mistake, blurts out, "But this beautiful elderly lady would like to buy the other half of that head of lettuce, so it works out, right?" Everything is worked out, the elderly woman leaves happily, and the supervisor says, "That was close, you're pretty quick on your feet. Where are you from?" The young man says, "Oh, me? I'm from Canada, but I left because it's just filled with hockey players and prostitutes." The supervisor crosses his arms and says, "Hey, my wife is from Canada." The young man responds, "Oh, that's wonderful. What team does she play for?" One night after a date, a guy takes his 19-year-old girlfriend home. After kissing each other goodnight at the front door, the guy starts feeling a little horny. With an air of confidence, he leans with his hand against the wall and, smiling, he says to her, "Babe, do you want to, get it on?" Horrified, she replies, "Are you crazy? My parents will hear us." He replies, "Oh, come on, who's going to hear us at this hour?" She says, "But can you imagine if we get caught?" "Oh, come on," he pleads. "They won't know. They're all sleeping." No way, it's just too risky, she says. He begs, oh please, please, I love you so much. No, no, and no, she insists. I love you too, but I just can't. Oh yes, you can, please. No, no, I just can't. I'm begging you. Suddenly, the hallway light turns on, and the girl's sister shows up in her pajamas, hair disheveled, and in a sleepy voice she says, Dad says that you should go ahead and do it, or Mom can do it, or if need be, Dad says he can come down himself and do it. But for heaven's sake, tell him to take his hand off the intercom.